On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, the Oklahoma City Thunder destroy the Dallas Mavericks as the Big Three come up clutch.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team's every day, the now number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm your host, media member, and beat writer for ThunderOnSI.com, Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Follow the show on Twitter at LO Thunderpod. On today's show, we're diving into the Thunder crushing the Dallas Mavericks. The Big Three were dominant tonight, and the defense was elite for Oklahoma City as they keep on rolling. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. This was an interesting game, and you everydayers know that. If you've listened to us throughout the week, we appreciate you because you everydayers make this show go. But in what's been a softer schedule, you got to play the Warriors. While that was a competitive game in the end, you headed into it knowing that there'd be no Steph Curry, no Al Horford. Then you play these Mavericks, and all that's left this week is the Utah Jazz. So three not great teams considering the Warriors' injury status and two below 500 teams. But, we talked about this game on Tuesday with Derek Parker of a game that could possibly present a trap game scenario, if you will, given the fact that Dallas has size and given the fact that Oklahoma City turned in an injury report with no Isaiah Joe, no Isaiah Hartenstein, no Alex Caruso, no Lou Dort. They're still shorthanded. The Mavericks didn't have Lively, PJ Washington, or Gafford. Of course, no Kyrie. But it led to the Thunder starting J. Will in the first five. The first five was Shai, Kaysen, JDub, J. Will, and Chet Holmgren. And that was a surprise right out of the chute. And then the first quarter comes around, and the Thunder are a little sloppy with the ball. I think they had half their turnovers in the first frame. It's a tie game after one. And at the end of that first quarter, it remained tied despite Dallas playing a lineup of Brandon Williams, Caleb Martin, Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, and Dwight Powell. And the Thunder couldn't put them away whenever they deployed that lineup. And you're thinking, okay, maybe this is a game that perhaps can catch Oklahoma City off guard, because maybe this is a game in which it finally catches up to OKC. They've been shorthanded all year. This is nothing new. But you have that feeling of like, well, how long can they continue to navigate through these waters? And if you couldn't put away a lineup that was Williams, Martin, Thompson, Marshall, and Powell, you thought maybe this was a game that would at least be competitive. But those things ended up being a blip on the radar. Oklahoma City quickly turned it up on both ends. They cleaned up the turnovers, and that let their offense put together stretches that put this game on ice. But to me, it starts with the defense. Anthony Davis could not score in this game. He could not score in this game. Jason Kidd had mercy on him and put him in the game in the fourth quarter, down 30, with the only goal not to be making one more push, not to be trying to come back in the game. The only goal being get AD on the board. Ousmane Dieng had AD posted up in the mid-range. That possession ended in a shot clock violation. The Thunder were great against AD, and that's a credit to the starting five that Mark put out there. We'll talk about that in the future. But AD does not score until the 7-minute mark of the fourth quarter against an all-bench lineup by OKC, and he had to work so hard at the 7:44 mark of that fourth quarter that it took him going behind the play by spinning out of a post-up of Kenrich Williams, receiving the ball with a reverse layup through traffic over Brendan Carlson. That's how hard he had to work for one bucket in this game against an all-bench lineup. The Thunder dominated on that end of the floor. And then their offense, after they cleaned up the turnover issues, the offense soared. Even by halftime, they had already created a 15-point lead by outscoring Dallas 36-21 in that frame. And they carried that momentum into the third, where they eventually put together a 40-13 run where this game was just over. Elite defense. Dallas couldn't get anything going offensively. Nothing came clean for them. They scored 111 points tonight. And I really believe that if you go back today and rewatch that game, knowing the outcome, a lot of those shots, they're highly contested. They do not grade out highly in the shot quality department. They just happen to go in for Dallas. They had to work for everything. Late in shot clocks, after resets, after deflections out of bounds. It was brutal for Dallas in this game. And Dallas, for the first time all year, had some momentum. But it's different playing this Oklahoma City team. Again, Dallas kept it close. They tied it at the end of at the end of one. They got up by 3 at one point early on. 5 lead changes, 8 ties in that opening quarter and 1 minute into the second quarter. But from there, Oklahoma City cruised. They win on the glass 47-44. They force 11 turnovers to their 6. And then here's the big one. OKC shot 56% from the floor. 56% from the floor. 40% from 3. And 92% at the charity stripe. Meanwhile, Dallas shot 47% from the floor, 43% from 3, and just 65% at the free throw line. The Thunder crushed Dallas in the paint. Dallas has positional size all over the board, and they got crushed in the paint, 62-33. OKC wins second chance points 9-8. Not very many second chance point opportunities whenever you make 56% of your shots, but they still won it 9-8. They do lose fast break points, 12-10. But here's what summarizes the whole game for Dallas and how the Thunder cruised to this massive win. Jaden Hardy was the best player for Dallas tonight. Jaden Hardy was the best player for Dallas tonight. It was an impressive win for OKC from the standpoint of taking care of business, from the standpoint of course correcting quickly. Because that first quarter had some uneasiness to it. If you remember way back when, had some uneasiness to it. And you're thinking, oh, maybe this Dallas defense, maybe it's an off night. But no, Shai ends up being fantastic as always. Chet and JDub had really good games today. And their box score should have been louder had they played a competitive matchup where they would have had to play the fourth quarter. The damage that those three did in the first 3 quarters, it is like a prelude of what's to come this season. And I thought that this was a really good showing, chemistry-wise, chemistry building-wise, with that secondary unit for this team, trying to find their rhythm as scorers off the bench and with the bench lineups without SGA. I think that they did that tonight. I think that they took a step in the right direction tonight. But coming up, let's talk about just how great those big 3 were. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at DoorDash. Go check out DoorDash today because DoorDash is awesome, folks. And they know the NBA season, it's heating up. And with DoorDash, it's found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA. They're celebrating something that they call the bag drop. Every time a player in the NBA scores 50 or more points, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, stuff you actually want. And you can even go there for more than just food. If you need some socks delivered, they have that covered. Maybe you're traveling to a new city and realized on the plane, I forgot my headphones. No fret. DoorDash can get you some right then and there. DoorDash has you covered for late night highlight watching, last minute watch parties, and double overtime fuel ups. The next time someone goes off for 50 points, use promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass. Plus, your shot at the ultimate bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms and conditions apply. Again, no purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 and older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your teams every day. I want to tell you right now about SGA's game because I thought that SGA was just special tonight. And you run out of ways to describe what SGA is able to do, but it starts out early and often in this game. 2 quick buckets, one off of a nice cut. The other one, he attacks a screen downhill, using Chet's screen to get the switch onto AD, and AD playing too deep in drop coverage, trying to gear up for Shai on the drive. Shai realizes that, reads the floor exceptionally well, then plants hard, goes with a step back mid-range jumper at the elbow, and just has a wide open practice shot against AD, who we know who AD is as a defender. Like, we know what AD is. We know what he's capable of. We know what his reputation is. And it really just was a play that paints the picture of how difficult it is to defend Shai. Because when he's coming off a screen like that, attacking downhill, you're expecting him to get to the rim. That's a great shot for him. He leads the league in drives the last 5 years. That's kind of a pattern recognition thing. But because he has so many tools in his toolbox, there just is no stopping Shai. Because it's pick your poison. If AD would have climbed off of that screen and tried to pick him up at the nail and replace Nembhard, well, guess what? Shai's going to toy with AD, get by him, and get to the rim. And either finish with an easy layup or get fouled. One of the two. Instead, AD elects to play drop, and guess what? Nembhard caught up on the screen by Chet. Shai stepped back to the opposite elbow for a mid-range jumper. And that screen, in part, so effective because instead of Nembhard waiting at the nail to receive Shai as the point of attack defender, Nembhard is playing at the three-point line. And that is a byproduct of how great that Shai's been as a three-point shooter this year. And that trend continued tonight for Shai. And that's where you really get to the interesting part about trying to defend Shai. That's where you really get to the crux of the issue. Because he is an all-time great player. And he can score at will. And he is super efficient. And you can't really think about stopping Shai. You've got to think about how to slow Shai down. But if you were to put together a scouting report against Shai, what would you do? Like, ask yourself that question. Because if you pick him up at the three-point line, you're giving him his two favorite shots, which is in the mid-range and at the rim. If you wait and you don't pick him up until the nail and you try to let him have the three and he's shooting above 40% from three, well, you're giving up the modern best shot in basketball. You're giving up a shot of more value and a shot he can hit at a higher clip. If you play all the way at the rim to take away the rim, well, then he can beat you at two other levels. So it is much like running out of Flex Seal. Imagine if the Flex Seal commercial on the boat didn't work, because it doesn't work, folks. That is made for TV magic. But every time that you put a Flex Seal patch on one side of the boat, another leak pops through. Then you go over there, Flex Seal that link, another one pops up. Then you go over there, Flex Seal that leak, another one pops up, and now you got a Flex Seal. And Billy Mays ain't here to save you anymore. R.I.P. So, I mean, I don't know what you do to defend SGA. I really don't. And that second bucket from SGA tonight really illustrates that. He's improved as a playmaker, too. Great find from Kenrich Williams as Kenrich rolled to the rim. Shai finds him to finish over Dwight Powell. Then comes back down, so hits a step-back three at the end of the first quarter to keep things tied at the end of one. Shai just took over from the under 4-minute mark in the second quarter all the way through. He took over. Tough bucket, including driving baseline, spinning through the lane in the mid-range, and knocks down a jumper against Najee Marshall because he got too much space on that spin. And this, again, proves the point we were just making. So after a really good defender in Najee Marshall gets beat with that spin move and gives up too much airspace, Najee decides, okay, I'm going to just pick one thing to take away and live with it. I'm going to play into Shai's chest. I'm going to be inside of his jersey and take away the mid-range. And if he beats me, and if he beats by me, you pray that AD's there. You pray that your help is there at the rim. But the lack of space, both in landing space and with the physicality that Najee was playing with the hand checking and with his contest, leads to a foul. 2 free throws. What can you do? What can you do against SGA? And then we mentioned the three-point shot. At the end of the third quarter, when his night's done, he has a sidestep three, which felt like the dagger. It really felt like the stop, they're already dead meme from The Simpsons. And then he comes back down, hits a floater in the lane. And Shai ends up tallying 33 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, a block, 10 for 12 shooting from the floor, 2 for 2 from the three-point line, 11 for 12 at the charity stripe. 33 points on 12 shots in 28 minutes. You run out of adjectives for the guy. You just do. He's super efficient. He's special. He's an all-time great player. He's a dominant player. He's a sensational scorer. This guy can do whatever he wants on the court. There's nothing that you can do to stop SGA. There's nothing that's in your power that you can do to stop SGA. But I also thought that this was a really good game from Chet. I thought that they really took advantage of some developmental opportunities for Chet Holmgren tonight, where you saw them, utilize him more as an on-ball player, both attacking off the catch and getting entry passes in the post and attacking off the dribble in the post to create his own shot. And folks, a blowout like this against Dallas, there's no better time than now to try things out in the midst of a 22-1 start of the season. And Chet really did a good job of this. And I think that you're seeing Chet really improve as a decision maker, but also just his feel for the game. We talk about this a lot with young players, and Chet's still a very young player. If you look at especially his NBA life, he played 82 games and then like 36 last year. And now, we're a quarter of the way through this season, still a very young player. But Chet's doing such a better job at seeking out mismatches now. And it happened early in this game. He sees that J. Will is defended by Ryan Nembhard, calls J. Will to the ball for a screen, takes the screen. Nembhard now switched on to Chet, and AD switched on to J. Will. Well, AD does not want Nembhard to be defending Chet, getting to the basket with his back to the basket. So AD flashes over and doubles Chet. Chet kicks it out for a wide open three from J. Will. Now, J. Will missed the shot, but that's a great processing decision. That's a great decision to call J. Will to the ball and run a big-to-big pick and roll and pick and pop in this case and generate a great look. He also capped off a slam in the dunker spot off of a nice wraparound pass by Jalen Williams, who was driving the lane and threw a midair wraparound pass to find Chet. Splashed a corner three off the catch against Cooper Flagg closing out. Fantastic touchdown hill against Max Christie at the bucket. Dribbling around Jaden Hardy in the post to finish on the opposite side of the rim. And that's the biggest thing with Chet. We've talked a lot about his improved efficiency at the rim and in the mid-range. He's using his length to his advantage at a very high level. From his gather to how he has his hands in arms position, where he's going to get that elbow into your chest, or he's going to hook you and shield you with his body to get an open shot and an easy look. And that's really shining through in this game. Another game that we've talked about where he goes 1 for 4 from three, but he still feels of massive impact and importance on the offensive end because he overall shoots 54% from the floor. 15 points, 8 rebounds, an assist, a block. Only missed 2 shots inside the arc all game. And all this happened in just 24 minutes. Like these games from, JDub and Chet especially, can look a little bit muted because they're not 20-plus points. But, folks, they could only play 24 minutes as the Mavs couldn't keep it competitive. Like, they were awesome tonight. They were absolutely awesome tonight. And we'll tell you about JDub. We'll tell you about this bench unit all coming up. But first, I want to say right now, pretty good friends over at FanDuel. Go check out FanDuel today because FanDuel is awesome. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in live time. With FanDuel, you can place your bets as the action unfolds every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, and defenses tighten up. On the momentum that flips with that turnover, you can capitalize with FanDuel jumping into that moment from live spreads, money lines, adjusting instantly, player props, updates as guys get hots, and you can even bet on the next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long at FanDuel. The game moves fast, so you can too. We're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I want to tell you right now about our good friends over at the Locked On Thunder Squad show. Make sure you listen to that every Tuesday and Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Central Time live on YouTube and upload it to your favorite podcast platform afterward. But in this game, I thought that JDub had a really, really nice outing. And it starts with a turnaround jumper at the elbow over Klay Thompson. And then he splits Klay and Nembhard, forcing the defense to react to generate a wide open corner three. That was missed, but that's reading the game early in the game that you could really see him set a tone for himself as a playmaker, which the playmaking from JDub this season has been outstanding. You can talk about the efficiency. You can talk about his touch not quite being there offensively, but the playmaking and the defense has been elite from the word go this season. And that's very encouraging because you know that the touch will come back to him. The more that he gets reps, the more that he plays, the touch will be there. And once it is coupled with the way he's defending and the way that he is passing the ball, including jumping an entry pass from AD to get a steal, and then a beautiful take at the rim over AD, and it's a classic JDub shot. You know, he goes right down the lane to his left, goes up, and the ball hits every single part of the rim except for the bottom of the net. And he's just going to get that touchback sooner rather than later. Big bucket going right at Nembhard into the paint, taking advantage of that mismatch. And even as the touch has not quite found him yet to start this season, you're still seeing how much gravity that he has. Getting to the rim, driving and kicking it out to Kaysen for a corner three. Kaysen knocked that down. And then he comes back down, and JDub misses a shot at the rim, gets his own miss. And a lot of guys in that scenario, especially a guy like JDub, who has the license to shoot any shot he wants to, who is a really great scorer, the number 2 scoring option on this team, and, you know, who is trying to, break out of this mini efficiency slump and might have been frustrated at that moment. Many guys just kind of panic and just go right back up with that shot. Try to look for a foul, try to get a bucket, kind of make matters worse, compound the issue. JDub gets that rebound, takes one dribble, throws a no-look flip pass over to Chet, diving to the lane, and Chet slams it home. The poise, the maturity, and the decision-making of JDub is really shining through. His ability to read the floor is really shining through, knowing that Chet was going to come down at that moment to help him out. And Chet staying active, getting to the rim, as we've talked about before with Chet, like that's also a pretty big deal. And so JDub ends up with 15 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, 45% from the floor, 1 for 3 from 3, and just 24 minutes of action. I thought that J-Will in the starting lineup tonight had some really solid minutes to start this game out. He finds SGA on a backdoor cut out of the high post to start the Thunder scoring offense. In that same possession, they actually tried to do that twice. Off the opening tip, J-Will went and threw it to Chet, who cut through the paint. Chet tried to kick it back out to the three-point line. It got deflected out of bounds. They go right back to J-Will in the high post. J-Will then finds SGA, who finished the job. He stood up AD in the post to force a miss on a tough fadeaway turnaround jumper, which at that point kind of set a tone for the rest of AD's night. Knocked down a catch-and-shoot triple over AD to tie the game in that first quarter. Went vertical at the rim to force Nembhard to have to kick the ball out in a possession that didn't end in points. And then had a great skip pass to Chet late in the shot clock, letting Chet be in the mid-range and hit a mid-range jumper over AD. One of the bigger parts about J-Will's game today is that not a lot of this shows up on the box score. For example, he deflects an entry pass from AD out of bounds, forcing Dallas to reset with a side out with just 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Like, forcing that to happen and where Dallas now has to improvise in 10 seconds and they didn't get a clean playoff, like that's a big deal, but there's no real stat for it in the individual box score. And he played his role very well. I mean, he had a big rebound on the backside of the play, which this is where I think that this lineup of JDub, J-Will, and Chet really worked against AD. Is on this play, JDub is posted up by AD. He takes the shoulder from AD, funnels AD to go to his off shoulder, rolling to the rim off of the JDub post up, and it funnels him right to Chet, who Chet forces the miss at the rim, and J-Will gets the board on the back end of that play. So these three guys were just lined up in a row, one after the other, to make AD's life miserable in that possession. And that was kind of a microcosm of what the game was for AD. He did knock down a catch-and-shoot triple from Shai at the break of the three-point line. That was good. 4 points, 3 boards, an assist, a block, 19 minutes of action for J-Will. He was a plus 20 in his action in this game. Kaysen Wallace did his job as a play finisher. hitting corner threes, to gain some distance in that second quarter. Really started the momentum swing in that second quarter. 11 points, 4 for 7 from the floor, 3 for 5 from 3, 4 rebounds and assist, 4 rebounds and assist, and a steal, plus 19 in his 23 minutes. Wiggins, 11 points, only 3 missed shots tonight. Massive putback jam after the wide open miss by Kenny Hustle from 3. Great floater to bail out a possession after Carlson kind of bobbled the ball away at the rim. And then knocks down a mid-range jumper over Cooper Flagg, makes the extra pass to AJ. So AJ splashes in a 3 in the third quarter to keep that momentum alive. And so I thought that Wiggins and Caruso deserve shout-outs off the bench. Another guy off the bench, Kenny Hustle. Really good in the small ball lineups. 10 points off the pine, 3 assists. Really helped this secondary unit find its rhythm as kind of a glue guy for that secondary unit. That's your bonus show of Lockdown Thunder today, folks. And we've had some technical difficulties today in the bowels of the Paycom Center. Perhaps the Woody Guthrie room is not the best. How would you say that? Deja vu? Not deja vu. Karma? Not karma. Voodoo. Is that the right word? Perhaps it is. Perhaps it isn't. I don't know. I'm not a linguist. But anyway, we'll be back on Monday recapping that Jazz game. We're here for you Monday through Friday and after every single game, and with our Monday and Thursday 2 p.m. live streams with Derek Parker, and with our Tuesday and Thursday 3:30 p.m. live streams with Jeremy Lamb and Tyler Jones on the Squad Show. So plenty of content for you. And again, I love everyone sending in their Spotify raps, their YouTube raps, all that good stuff about how much that you listen to the show. I appreciate that. And so keep sending them in. And until next time, folks, be good and be good to one another.